Look at the wrist.
The haunt that appears out of nowhere. Because we have a prefab structure that goes up in one evening. Other than that, it's all inside the garage until the garage door finally comes off. And then we conceal our secrets by tarp as we're putting up the outside structure. The secrets must be concealed. But today, those who want to pay the extra money to go and check it out, have at her. All the panels were prefab before Halloween, but I saved them all from the scrap bin. Freebie. Well, we're finally in the control panel, down in the basement this year. I saved a whole pile of space out in the garage. This was our primary surveillance, and that's the one that was inside the haunt. And this was the exterior. And then this one, we also had a display on a big flat screen out on the facade as well. So when you were coming into Dunroth this year, you would get to choose whether you wanted to go in or not, or you'd use the display to see if the group in front of you was still in there, not to see if anybody's in there, if it was your turn to go in, or for the parents or whoever decided they didn't want to go in, that they'd be able to watch the rest of their group. So now I was saying that a lot of the problems that you have, even with this type of technology, is when it comes time to video editing, there's a few very important fundamental rules that you have to follow. So first and foremost, I would say set all of your timestamps on all of your recording devices. Make sure that they are extremely accurate, because that's part of the problem. The other problem is that depending on your system and how you're recording your audio, I know brand new expensive cameras, even the wireless ones, you can get with all the bells and whistles now, and you don't have any issues. But if you're using, 2, 3, 4-year-old technology, you still often need to either buy their microphones, or you need to buy a couple of their expensive cameras and then add it to your existing system. But when you're using two independent security systems, they're just that, they're independent of each other. So they're going to have their own timestamping and audio visual latencies. And latency is the key word here. Your microphone's got to record they have to record the audio at the precise time as the video. And it can make it very difficult if you're trying to match up your audio feeds to your video and they don't actually line up, or they're running late of one another, and then you need to do even more video editing, which is more of a headache. So the alternative to all of this, like I said, is force an audio feed. Take 1 or 2 microphones. If you have a mixer, place them out there, and then send the feed, a uniform feed from one mixer and one series of microphones out there, and force feed it to both systems. So back here, you would, where are they? Right here. So it was my red and my white. So you just take one of these and you put it on the audio input of the Lorex, and you take the other one and you put it on the audio input of the Swan, or whatever systems you're running. And you're going to be sending those bad boys the exact same audio at the exact same time. And if your timestamp is correct, it will save you hours of headache and pain and grief. I should note too that I was using my audio interface and I had it out in the garage just so that I could patch the two microphones together out there and then save an extra 50 feet of microphone cable. Next, you also got to test your audio source and then make sure that your system is set up to receive audio and assign it to cameras. Every system is different, so you're going to have to pick the settings that best apply to what you have, but it's also important that you make sure that you have tested it out and turn everything on that needs to be on. Notice how that kicked out? That was the camera going from night vision to day vision. Now it's going to be struggling a little bit right now anyways because I've got directional light pointed right at it. But the point of this demonstration is that when you situate your cameras and your lighting inside your haunted house, you also need to take into consideration whether it's too bright, whether it's too dim, and whether or not it's got too much directional light or directional light while it's too dim. So you'll see different kinds of phenomenon where you'll get white flashes or flash outs. You'll get static periods, and it all has to do with the different variables, including even people passing in front of the camera relative to all the lighting around. So you need to make sure that your cameras and the lighting in their area are set up correctly, because otherwise they're going to be pissing around, the camera doesn't know what's going on, and it's also going to give you a very poor resolution. I never heard of scare cams up until just a couple of days ago, but where do I sign up? You had me at scare. Trail cams and GoPros. They can be handy. They record audio. Any trail cam I've ever seen can't record more than 3.5 hours worth of high resolution video, and it's because of the size of the cards that they put in there. They're not designed to record continuously. They're designed to capture something with all of their infrared sensors and stuff out in the bush, snap a few photos, or take a quick series of videos. So these things really are just not even designed for a continuous recording. I do not recommend it. The GoPro, if you're using it, can also be handy. It records audio. It will do 5 consecutive hours of recording, provided that you A, give it a power hookup, because the battery is going to die out at about 3 to 3.5 hours at a high resolution, and B, you're going to need to buy yourself the biggest, baddest memory stick that money can buy. So in my instance, 2 years ago, I ended up picking up a big 128 gig for this thing. It just fits 5 hours. So I was able to finally record continuously at 30 frames per second at the absolute highest resolution with this GoPro finally for 5 continuous hours. But I needed to make sure I had that power hookup, and I needed to make sure I had the big memory stick. Privacy laws and legislations are different from every state and province. There's many states where you cannot legally record audio. So you need to look into your local laws, figure out what you are and are not allowed to do. But things are different when you get into private property and you've posted signs and everybody knows what it's about, and you can see the cameras and the screens on your way in. And if somebody has a problem with it after that, just go and delete the face off on YouTube. It takes 1 minute. They're just looking for attention. The main reason I run security cameras isn't just for the spectacular footage, but it's to save my ass. It's insurance. It's accountability. It's making sure that people don't piss around and take advantage of a good thing. And if they do, well, hopefully you can tell who they are under the mask.